Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back here to a continuation of the study of the second book of Second Kings. Shabbat Shalom, Karen.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Jimmy and Marisabel, Yaya, Jeremy, Shannon.
Yeah.
You know, we just was laughing to your comment, Yaya, that we were in some kind of a similar situation here. Not sleeping, but somehow almost sleepy.
Yeah.
But as you know, that's Shabbat, you know, it's a day of rest just to recover energy. But now's the time for us to study the word of Yahuwah and to recover other type of energy, you know, the energy that is coming from the Ruach. So thank you so much for joining us. And we are really sorry that we just put the post so late. But you know that we are here thanks to Yahuwah in order to continue with the study of this book. I want to take the opportunity as well to thank all of you that somehow has been reaching out to us due to some concerns about some fires here in our country.
Yeah.
Thanks to Yahuwah that we live far away from that place. It's a kind of a 1.5 hours driving distance. And we are separated by big mountains.
Yeah.
So, but what happened over there, it was very sad. Yeah. A lot of people died over there because of the fire and a lot of destruction. And we are praying for those people because, you know, the destruction that happened on that city is huge. So, anyways, thank you for the love and concern for reaching out to us. And keep those people in your prayers because there's so much need over there.
And not only there, and there is happening a lot of different kind of destruction in different places. Maybe not only by fire, but different situations, some wars, destruction maybe
in other countries, other places,
and also
everywhere.
spiritually. So we need to pray for the rest of the people and for all those that doesn't have the opportunity to know Abba yet. I think that he's like shouting to all those who doesn't know him yet, awake that I'm coming. And he has telling us about this time of trials. So we need to be ready, and if somebody needs a kind of piece of advice, I think that is the only thing that we can say to them, that this is temporary, that we are focusing in the eternal things, and he is doing this not because he hates us, or he's not doing this, he's not allowing this because he hates us. It's because he loves us so much that he is giving us the opportunity to leave all this that is contaminated, polluted behind, and to have the renewed version of his creation, how he intended from the very beginning.
Absolutely. You know, that we need to be prepared. I think is a good word. We need to be prepared because these things will increase
and will
with
be
time.
More frequently.
Yes. So we need to continue praying for one another and take the opportunity also to spread some light and to share some light to those people in need. Not only in words, if we have the chance to do it in actions, is the way that we are being taught in the word of Yahuwah that we need to do.
Yeah.
So, having said that, I think we should move on and let's go to the portion. Today we are going to study the portion we title, and let me put this on the screen because the name is not that easy. Is over here is Wayyipqach YaHuWaH Eini. That it means Yahuwah opened the eyes. And I think it's a beautiful part of the portion. And you mentioned something to me the other day about this one because you were reading about it. How two realities are in place, two parallel realities are in place.
And sometimes our eyes cannot see that. Sometimes we are blind to those truths.
Absolutely. So today we have 3 chapters. So it's from chapter 5 to chapter 7. So Yahuwah opened the eyes, and that's going to be our prayer today, that he can open our eyes all the time so we are able to see what he wants to show us. But before doing that, as we used to do, let me share this song with you. It's a beautiful one. So let's listen to this song and then we will continue with the study. So here we go. So with the same spirit, let's pray together. Yahuwah Elohim Sabaoth, we want to give thanks to you in this new Shabbat because your love, your compassion, because of your presence within us, between us. Thank you, because we know that though the distance, you are with us. You are with your people, Israel, and we know that through your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, we are part of your people, Israel, and part of your covenant. Thank you, because you are the one guiding our steps in these last days, because you are the one taking care of each one of us, each one of your lambs, and giving us opportunities, experiences, giving us life, sustaining us, and providing all our needs. Thank you, because in the middle of the storm and the middle of tribulations, you are the one protecting your flock, and you are the one taking care of it. And we can rest assured that you are the one that will continue leading us and guiding us through your path and giving us the strength through your Ruach HaKodesh in order to endure until the end. That's our faith, that's our hope, Yahuwah, because we believe in your word and we believe in your promises. We pray to you in this moment with a heart full of grace and humility for everything you do for us. Because we are nothing without you. You are the one that gives us a fullness of life. And you are the one giving us shalom and joy in our hearts. Transform our hearts, in order to be like your heart. In order to be like you are. So we can act, we can speak, we can be as you are. And in this moment, in this Shabbat, Yahuwah, we ask you that you can guide us in everything we do while we study your word. That you can speak to our hearts. You can refresh our Ruach. You can give us more strength in order to continue your path. In order to continue being your witnesses in these times and in this age. So we are that light of the world that your Son Yahushua spoke about. Because he is the vine and we are the branches. And he is the light of this world. And in the same way, we are light to this world as well. And there is so much need, not physical need only, the spiritual need. The people of this world need you in the same way that we need you, Yahuwah Sabaoth. So here we are telling you that we are willing to serve you in any way you want to use us. Because the field is ready, Yahuwah. And we pray to you. You can send more workers to your field in order to bring hope, in order to bring emunah, belief, in order to bring expectation of your kingdom here on earth by the hand of your Son Yahushua HaMashiach. Be with those that are in need. Be with those that are in need of physical healing, or in need of food or of a roof. Take care of your people, Israel, Yahuwah, and be compassionate towards those that don't believe in you yet. Just for them to open the eyes and see your mighty hand, your love and your compassion, so they can believe in you as well as we do. Guide each one of our steps, O Yahuwah, so we can walk in the way you want us to walk in your path. Looking forward and walking forward, not deviating ourselves to the right or to the left, but walking, following the step of our King, our Melech, Yahushua HaMashiach, who is leading us to your kingdom. Thank you, Abba, because we know that your presence is with us. We invite you to guide us in this study. We invite you, Abba, to teach us of your word, that your Ruach guide each one of the words that we are going to speak today, that you can give us revelation and give us wisdom, because you are the owner of that wisdom. Wisdom belongs to you, Yahuwah Sabaoth. Thank you for your presence and for listening to our voices. We do it with a humble heart, and we do it in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's move on. So let's go to the book of 2 Kings chapter 5. You want to begin or you want me to? I'm going to begin. Okay.
Okay.
So chapter 5 of the book of 2 Kings, and it says the following. And Naaman, commander of the army of the sovereign of Aram, was a great man in the eyes of his master, and highly respected, because by him Yahuwah had given deliverance to Aram. And he was a brave man, but leprous. And the Arameans had gone out on raids, and had brought back up captive a young girl from the land of Israel, and she served the wife of Naaman. And she said to her mistress, "If only my master were with the prophet who is in Shomeron, then he would recover him of his leprosy." And Naaman went in and reported to his master, saying, "Thus and thus spoke the girl who is from the land of Israel." And the sovereign of Aram said, "Go, enter, and let me send a letter to the sovereign of Israel." And he went and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of garments. And he brought the letter to the sovereign of Israel, which said, "And now, when this letter comes to you, see, I have sent Naaman my servant to you, so that you shall recover him of his leprosy." You want to say something?
No?
Yes, I see you have the willing and the spirit to share something.
No. Well, Naaman, the meaning of the name is pleasant.
Okay.
I think that
Pleasantness.
Yeah,
Karen actually also
yeah.
shared it in the chat.
Okay. And I was thinking about this girl that was taken captive. She was taken captive and among another place that are among the Arameans, and with the purpose that she has to witness about something. And maybe that is what is happening when we are kind of maybe far away now that we are a flock that are, dispersed around all the world. What is our task is to give that witness about that. We know that there is a healer. We know that we can be healed, and that there is somebody who can do that task. So I was thinking about that.
Actually, I think we are fully aligned on this, and I was thinking exactly on the same. There are so many discussions nowadays with this uncontrolled immigration that's happening all over the place. I know for the brothers and sisters in the States are facing this big issue for many years already. We here in our country have the same situation, and it is totally uncontrollable. And the point is that this policy of open borders without any control is just opening the doors for any type of people with good and bad intentions to come in. And we are facing this type of situation. By the way, I'm not going to be from the topic, but just for you to know, all the fires we have in Chile, there is a huge debate that they were intentionally done.
Yeah.
And
they have some proofs.
They believe that these were done by cartels that entered the country because of the open border policy that was implemented a few years ago. So why I'm bringing this to the discussion on related to the portion. because the whole discussion about this, what's currently happening. I'm doing a kind of a parallel, a parallel and a parable. Okay, yeah. It's about the potential cells, terrorist cells that are coming in to the countries because of this migration policy. So we can say in a similar way that this is our role. We are kind of a cell from the kingdom of Yahuwah.
We are the good ones.
We are the good ones.
The white cells.
We are being spread, and we are part of the immigrants that are being spread over the entire world, becoming a cell of the kingdom. With what purpose? Is exactly what she was doing. Is to be a witness. And this is so important, because we have been talking about this in the previous portions. Is that the role of the prophets on that case was so important, because through the signs and wonders and the miracles they were doing, they were able to connect with the people, and the people became witness of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And witness not of a, let me correct myself, witness of not what they were doing, witness of the power and the mighty power of Yahuwah through them. So they saw all of this, that they became to believe and also to spread the message, even with the level of certainty so high that she was able to say, okay, if he managed to be over there, he's going to be healed.
Yeah.
She believed, and she was shining that light in order for them to believe, and it was so much that even the king believed, and he was sending the letter to the king of Israel. So it's contagious. If we believe and we spread that belief to others, but we need to truly believe. If we don't believe with truth, it's not going to work.
They're going to be empty words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to truly believe and to share that belief with others, and it will be contagious. So we are those cells, and we need to do exactly as she was doing. And it is really funny, because we know that we are in captivity. It's not captivity of Mizraim, Egypt. It's captivity of Babylon. And she was in captivity. She was in captivity of the Arameans, from the nations. So we are in a very similar situation. So we should ask ourselves, are we being the same type of witness as she was? And if we are not, there is something that we need to change. Right? What else you have?
No, it called my attention, all the things that he took with him. The 10 talents of silver. I think that it was like almost, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but we use the kilograms, and kilograms is like 170 kilograms. I think that is almost the double in pounds.
Not sure.
No? Okay, or maybe, I don't know, something like that, but it was a lot. And also the pieces of gold and the 10 garments. So I think that it has something, I don't know, maybe it's about time, because it's like all that he has, and usually you have this kind of wealth because of your labor, because of your work. Maybe this is a kind of representation of his work, what he has because of his work. I don't know.
So let's continue reading in the verse 7. So it says, and let me read again the verse 6 just to connect to what we were reading before. So 6, it says, and he brought the letter to the sovereign of Israel, which said, and now, when this letter comes to you, see, I have sent Naaman my servant to you, so that you shall recover him of his leprosy. And it came to be, when the sovereign of Israel read the letter, that he tore his garments and said, am I Elohim to kill and keep alive, that this man sends a man to me to recover him of his leprosy? For consider now, and see how he is seeking an occasion with me. So
he took it on.
In the other totally different angle, maybe the king of Aram wasn't that clear in the way that he was requesting and sending the message. and we have been talking about this in different aspects, is that the way that we deliver the message is so important that the message itself, because it could be misunderstood.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's exactly misunderstood.
Yeah.
How the king of Aram, that sometimes is my enemy, is sending somebody so important here and asking for this, that is an impossibility.
At the beginning, I was thinking that maybe in the case that he was sending somebody who has this condition, leprosy, you know that this is very contagious. So maybe I don't know, he was thinking, okay, he's sending somebody who's going to be like the starting point of a plague or something like that. Maybe it could be that. But then I don't know if he was humble to say I don't have the power to heal, or maybe it's because he didn't even know that he has a prophet speaking for a long time already about the power of Yahuwah, about the healing, about the miracles. So he was not even aware of that.
I think he knew about Elisha.
Yeah.
It doesn't say who was the king, but I assumed it was the same king that we were reading in the previous chapter. So I think he was aware about Elisha and what Yahuwah was doing through him. Maybe he didn't believe.
Yeah, maybe
I think that's the position.
Was zero.
Yeah, exactly. But I do believe here it's thinking kind of a strategic point of view, military strategy point of view. He's sending this man and he's using it as an excuse because I'm unable to clean him, to heal him. So he's using it as an excuse because I'm not going to be able to do it in order to attack me. Because I'm not fulfilling what he's asking
that could be to do. Also, yeah.
So maybe that's why he tore his garment. And that's really interesting because in the next the next verse, it says the following. And it came to me when Elisha, the man of Elohim, heard that the sovereign of Israel had torn his garments. So somebody told him, because he was not there, that he sent to the sovereign saying, why have you torn your garments? Maybe he was asking exactly the same that we're asking now.
Yeah.
Why you did that?
Yeah.
And immediately he said, please let him come to me so that he knows that there is a prophet in Israel.
That's why I was thinking about that. So, because he said so that he knows, the person who is sick, that there is a prophet in Israel and you yourself. So both of you, he and yourself. So maybe he didn't believe in that prophet. He didn't believe in the power of Yahuwah.
But I fully agree with you. But indirectly, I think there is an important, very important point here. Is that what's the purpose of the signs and wonders?
So people can believe.
Exactly. And I think somehow it's indirectly said here in the words of Elisha, so that he knows that there is a prophet in Israel. What is the meaning of having a prophet? Is that he knows that Yahuwah is with us. That the true Elohim is here.
He has like a mediator between us, between this kingdom and with him.
So it always is for the purpose of bringing honor and kavod, glory to Yahuwah.
And direction.
Exactly. And also to spread the message to others.
Yeah.
That's the main purpose. So basically what Elisha is saying is similar to what the girl was sharing with the others. Is keeping the same context, is the same message. It's about Yahuwah and the kingdom of Yahuwah. So Naaman, in the verse 9, came with his horses and chariot, and he stood at the entrance of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, go, and you shall wash 7 times in the Jordan, that your flesh might be restored to you and be clean. But Naaman became wroth and went away and said, see, I said to myself, he will certainly come out to me and stand and call on the name of Yahuwah his Elohim and wave his hand over the place and recover the leprosy. Are not, and let me finish with this, the 12, are not the Abana and the Farpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean? and he turned and went away in a rage. Wow.
Havana means stony, and farpar means rush stream, like rapid, something like that. What called my attention was that he has like three different. Okay, I separated this in three different things or stages, because sometimes maybe we are like Naaman, because he was expecting first that the man of Elohim was coming to him, was there with him, talking to him. So I was waiting that. I was waiting that he called on the name of Yahuwah, like, do this and
big show,
and then do something that I could see, and then I was going to be healed. So he was expecting for that.
But you have mentioned the key word twice: expectation. Sometimes we have expectation of something in the way that something needs to happen. We have expectation of how Yahuwah will do something, and we made a huge mistake with doing that. We should have zero expectation, and we just be there, allow Yahuwah to do things in the way he wants to do it. And you know, expectation brought what? Anger.
If it's not meat,
because what he was expecting didn't happen. And you know, he was the big commander of the army, and he's not coming even to say hello to me. I'm coming, you know, being humble and coming to his house, and he's not even coming out of his house to say hi.
I bring all these presents.
Yes. So expectation, this is something that we should control. And you know, when Yahushua is saying that we need to deny ourselves, that's including our own expectations. We need to deny our expectation. When we are coming, seeking the face of Yahuwah, we need to do it with no expectation. Just being there, allowing Yahuwah to do things in the way he wants to do it. And you know, it's a beautiful message what's happening here, because he's sending to do a tevilah. And we see here is a kind of a foundational teaching for us to understand tevilah is for cleansing. You know, John the Baptist came saying the tevilah for repentance. And that's also for cleansing. It's for spiritual cleansing. In this case was a cleansing, physical cleansing for leprosy. And I think, I don't know if it's below. I think it is, because I was using this passage in the past. I think when we're speaking about the immersion in the Spirit, we were using this passage to understand what it means to baptism. And it's related to be fully immersed.
Covered completely.
It's covered, completely covered. In this case, on completely covered by water, meaning that the immersion in the Ruach HaKodesh needs to be exactly the same. It's to be fully covered by the Ruach of Elohim. So this story is very beautiful from that point of view as well, because it shows us what's in practical terms what it means. The baptism is to be fully immersed. It shows us also the more spiritual understanding of doing a tevilah. Tevilah is in baptism in Hebrew. The mikvah is also being mentioned sometimes, but mikvah is the place where you are doing a tevilah. The tevilah is the action of the baptism. That the purpose is to cleanse ourselves. And that he sent him to do it 7 times, I think is something relevant as well, right?
I think that is related to the 7 spirits of Yahuwah.
I agree with that.
So maybe he didn't have them, or maybe he have a different kind of 7 spirits. So he need to remove that, be cleansed from them, and then be born like a new creature.
Yes.
So I don't know. I make that relation. Maybe something else. I don't know.
It could be a new beginning as well. Because number 8 is also
it's a new beginning.
Is related to a new beginning. A week is 7 days. So the day number 8 is a new week, is a new beginning. Is the same with the millennium. So in this case, he was going down, like dying, by going in the waters 7 times. And he came up in order to have a new beginning.
So I need to go to the river and do the same.
Most
7
probably.
times. Yeah,
Maybe
because
all of us.
Maybe.
Maybe all of us. So here I think the key is expectation. And it's beautiful, you know, to see. And I think Yahushua was mentioning something about this as well. I don't remember in the Brit Hadashah specifically where, but it's beautiful to see here that all this story is with a man not from Israel,
from Aram.
From Aram, is from the nations. So how Yahuwah opened the door here in the same way that it was happening with Cornelius in the book of Acts, for the nations to get closer to him through a person, a prophet, a servant in Israel. He is not closing the door at all for the nations to be part of Israel. It happened in the wilderness with the mixed multitude.
Yeah.
That they were deciding to be part of Israel. And in this case, we see, you know, an open door for people from the nations to come closer to Yahuwah, to know Yahuwah, and also to be healed by Yahuwah.
And I remember that Yahushua was saying this when he was sharing about the ministry and about all the gospel, that a lot of miracles were always being done in places like that. So, and then he realized almost the same miracles in Israel. So,
exactly. So let's continue in the verse 13. And his servants came near and spoke to him and said, My father, if the prophet had spoken to you a great matter, could you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, Wash and be clean? So what I see here is two things. What should be our attitude, being wise when we are providing counsel?
As servants, yeah.
And but also we can be in the position of Naaman. And it could be that somebody's coming to us and to give a word.
Yeah.
And what it means is that we need to listen.
We are being called to be obedient again.
And we need to be humble. Sometimes we are so proud that we believe that we are the owners of the truth, and nobody else can say anything to us. It should be the other way around. We always should listen and then meditate and ask the Ruach to guide us in our decisions. So is the two combination, is that when we are servants, is to allow Yahuwah to use that with wisdom in order to talk and speak to people. Without the servant here using wisdom, maybe Naaman was going to lose his opportunity
to be
healed and to become a witness. Because at the end, by receiving the healing, he became a witness of the power of Yahuwah Elohim. So we need to be that type of servant, but also we need to be in the position of Naaman. And we are in these two roles all the time, every day, in every moment, that we need to be open to listen all the time. We need to be always open to listen and not to act in pride, knowing that Yahuwah can use whoever it is there. He can use any person to bring words, and sometimes it's so difficult because, in this case, he was full of anger.
Yeah.
He wanted to go back because his expectations were not met. Why I did all this trip, I'm suffering by this this illness, and then now I'm becoming embarrassed because nothing is happening. So let's go back.
Yeah, he was thinking maybe that Elisha was mocking at him.
Yes, and when we're angry, sometimes it's so difficult for us to control ourselves and to listen. We close ourselves on the left. We close ourselves in our own island, trying to deviate our attention and then not allowing anybody to bother us. But in those moments when it's more difficult, is when we need to be patient, humble, listen. That doesn't mean we should do everything that we are listening. What it means that we need to be open to listen, because in those words that somebody is speaking to us, it could be that Yahuwah is speaking to us.
And I think that he's going to reveal in our heart.
That's the point. And when he's revealing that in our hearts is the moment to act. So we need to be wise in order to act in the two ways. Okay, being the servant, speaking with wisdom, being Naaman in this case that is humble, even though the anger and the bad emotions, and to be obedient and listen and meditate and allow the Ruach of Elohim to guide us on what we have to do. So it says in the 14, then he went down and dipped 7 times in the Jordan, and that's the word dipped. When you look into the translation in Hebrew, you will understand that it's being fully immersed and covered completely with water. So all this understanding about baptism, that you don't need to be fully immersed in water, is totally wrong, and the way to demonstrate that it's wrong is using this example. That immersion is being fully covered. We need to, as Shaul was speaking about, that through the immersion in water, we are dying and we are being reborn again. So basically, we are going to the grave, disappearing in the water, and appearing again in a kind of resurrection-like situation by being baptized in the water. So this is exactly what Naaman did, is being fully covered, dipped 7 times in the Jordan according to the word of the man of Elohim. And his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So it's being born again, right? In the way that it's being described, it's like being born again in water and spirit. In this case, like being born again in water. Anything you want to share so far?
No, it was a joke. But it was like,
go ahead.
Like when we are kind of, I don't know, maybe in 3 years more, I'm going to go and do the same. So my face and everything is going to be without wrinkles, like a child again.
Maybe we should try it, right? So let's continue in the verse 15. And he returned to the man of Elohim, he and all his company, and came and stood before him and said, see, now I know that there is no Elohim in all the earth except in Israel. And now please take a gift from your servant. You see what we were saying? He became a witness. And it was an entire process that happened with Naaman. And maybe we should summarize. In order to get to this point, what happened? Somebody needed to be a witness first. He needed to hear the word.
And maybe before that, he needed to suffer from a condition, to a disease.
You're right. Sometimes through pain and through situations, through sickness, through tribulations, is when we are prepared to receive. And that's when we look with our eyes. It's sad to see it.
Yeah.
But our human nature sometimes need to go through suffering sometimes in order to be prepared to receive the truth. And I think all of us, we have experiences in this. So, yep, I agree with you. After that, he needed to hear about the word of Yahuwah. Without a witness, it was an impossibility for him to get to this point that he became a witness. Then after that, he needed to go to Israel. He needed to seek through believing. At the beginning, he believed. And that's why he decided to go. He believed because somebody told him about this prophet, about Yahuwah, about the power of Yahuwah. So he believed, he went, he moved himself. He then became static. He said, okay, I'm going to do it. He received the word, the support of the king of Aram, the king of Israel, all that part. But at the end, the bottom line is that he decided to seek the face.
And imagine that it was not only affected to him, because at the beginning he was requesting permission of his commander, of his boss, I don't know. And he was sending with a letter. So when he was coming back, already healed, he was a witness just because of the appearance to the boss, to the wife, to all the servants, the people who were surrounded him.
Yep.
So sometimes even he didn't need to open the mouth to tell him, well, look and see what happened to me. Everybody was going to be just witnessing that something was changed in him. And maybe is also related to us, that maybe is not going to be maybe something like physically sown, like a disease, that it could be a miracle and you're healed and now physically, but also with our actions. Maybe our behavior before was different from what we are right now. So we went through a process, and now we can say, now I'm a new creature. Now I'm a new person. Now I'm something different. I'm a creation of Yahuwah. So
I agree with you. The next part that needed to happen is that a servant, a prophet of Yahuwah needed to be there.
Yeah.
He needed to believe that Yahuwah can use him in order to provide healing and to be a witness as well. Then what happened in the Naaman seeking, he needed to deny himself. Without denying himself and being humble, he was not going to receive this, and not only humble, being obedient. Being humble and obedient, he was not going to receive his healing, and he was not going to become the witness that he is now. So, just identifying those processes is the moment where we need to analyze ourselves and these times, because it could be a leprosy, it could be any type of sickness, it could be any type of problem, it could be anything that the people is facing. And not only us, I think we could be the Naaman, but I think the right thing to do it and to see ourselves in this time is to see it as the girl, or is to see us as Elisha. It's true that we are going through some needs and so on, but we need to look into the field, and we need to see into the world. We need to see throughout our neighbors, the people of the world, that they are in need.
Maybe we are going to be the three of them. We are going to be Naaman, we are going to be the girl,
Exactly.
and then we could be even the prophet.
But looking at it as a servant,
Yeah.
for sure we can be the Naaman. We can be, and we are always in need. And Yahuwah is going to take care of us. But if we are truly servant of the kingdom, we need to see ourselves as the girl or as Elisha. So if we are not speaking about the mighty power of Yahuwah, how people is going to hear and believe? And Peter is talking about that when he's speaking about the gospel, how they're going to believe if they're not listening. And how they're going to listen if nobody's speaking. So here we see the clear example. And then we need to be Elisha. We need to be those servants that we believe, and that the Ruach HaKodesh is with us, that we can bring the signs and wonders that are coming from the hand of Yahuwah in order to exalt his name, in order to complete our service. And sometimes we are failing in the two aspects. And this is something that we should always meditate about and to believe. This girl believed, Elisha believed. Without believing, we are not going to be able to move the mountain. We need to believe, we need to have the emunah. And for sure, if we are Naaman, we need to have the right attitude. Sometimes we don't have the right attitude, but we need to, the Ruach is always knocking in the heart in order to tell us, buddy, you need to change your attitude. You need to deny yourself. And this is exactly what Yahushua said, the helper will come and will remind you of all these words. And what are the words of Yahushua? Deny yourselves. Be humble. Be obedient. So let's continue. But Elisha said in the 16, as Yahuwah lives, before whom I stand, I do not accept it. And he pressed on him to accept it, but he refused. Why do you think he refused it?
Because he didn't have any reason to accept maybe a gift. Because he knew that he was receiving he was being an instrument, and that's it. Even though that maybe the other person was very appreciative about what happened, but I think that it was going to be even more beautiful because the other person was so humble that he was, like Yahushua was saying, give what you have received freely. And maybe it was the same with him. When he received maybe this change, it was something for free. It didn't have to be a transaction.
I like what Corina put in the chat. The glory was yes.
Yeah.
He was going to accept this
and it
gift.
was going to
be for him.
For him instead of That's right. That's
and it came to my mind that what happened with Abraham when he was going to rescue Lot.
And they wanted to share it,
and he refused it.
He said, "I'm not going to take anything."
And he said, because later on you are going to say that I became rich because of what you did, instead of because of what Yahuwah did for me. So it's to put the focus, and because the heart sometimes is deceitful. So maybe he's going to be blind with the gift, and this is exactly what's happening next, right?
And it was just like a transaction. Like, you heal me, and I'm giving you this. So maybe he could have, I don't know, maybe he could have supported him in a different way in the future. I don't know, maybe look at different.
But he accepted something in the past, and I think that's the difference with the woman. From, I don't remember the town, but the woman that at the end she was barren and she didn't have a child. But you know what happened?
It was for
he didn't do anything for her at the beginning. It was because of her heart. She wanted to give something to the prophet, and they prepared the place for him to stay. And it was in the other way around.
It was.
She did something for him, and he felt the need in order to give her something back. In this case, it was the opposite. He, through Elisha, Yahuwah healed Naaman, and Naaman wanted to give him something back. So it's the reason behind is different.
Maybe the Ruach told him, don't accept this. It's
as
not,
well.
Yeah, because maybe on the other occasion he was doing the opposite, so maybe.
And I think I agree with that as well, because by refusing this allowed for the next thing to happen. Is to reveal something in the heart of his servant. So let's continue. Then Naaman said, if not, please let your servant be given 2 mules loads of earth, for no longer is your servant going to make an ascending offering and a slaughtering to other mighty ones but to Yahuwah. So he wanted to
make his own
altar, but with the soil. This was he saying, right?
That with the different, I don't know from where.
Okay.
But have this special earth. So he was going, I think, to dedicate it like an altar for Yahuwah.
Yahuwah grant forgiveness to your servant in this matter. When my master goes into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow down in the house of Rimmon. When I bow down in the house of Rimmon, Yahuwah, please grant forgiveness to your servant in this matter. He
has to do something that it was going to be against now his faith. But he is like saying, I'm going to do it because of my, I don't know, the hierarchy that is above me. But it's not something that I feel. So I want to demonstrate to Yahuwah what is my intention.
But you see how a huge transformation of heart can happen through those
that now he could realize that doing that is not okay.
It was like this, through something wonderful that happened. And I think that's why, we need to pray for this type of manifestation in these days, that we should be used in the same way that Elisha. And I think in this time it's more needed than ever, with all the sieve that is going on in the world. People they're really hard in the heart to believe. So getting into them is not easy. And these are the type of true transformation that we need in this time. Until if Yahuwah was able to do it in this case, at that time, that age, He's able to do it again in this time, in our generation. It's up to us to seek for the double portion, to be used in the same way that Elisha was being used, in order to allow for these type of things to happen. Is the Ruach of Elohim is the one that's going to convict and is going to transform the heart of the people. But Yahweh is always working through his servants. And we need to be a true vessel, a true servant, in the same way that Elisha was doing and believing, so Yahweh can do these mighty works in this time. He was even renouncing to the idolatry. Now I know.
Now I know.
Now I know. There's no true Elohim than Yahweh. And going to resign to all of the idolatry. So, we need in these times this type of transformation. And it will be so beautiful to see it happening with our own eyes. That the Yahweh is using each one of us to see this true transformation, and so wonderful transformation happening by being used by him as a servant. We should seek those type of things and to tell Yahweh that we want to be used in these ways. And he said to him, go in peace. And he went from him some distance. And Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of Elohim, said, look, my master has spared Naaman this Aramean, while not receiving from his hands what he brought. But as Yahweh lives, I shall run after him and take whatever from him.
Wow.
So there was the inner dialogue, right? So he was thinking to and speaking to himself. Yeah, because if not, I'm not going to be able to get it. So that's lust. And everything begins in the heart. Heart and mind is the battle of the mind. Those thoughts that basically is pushing us to go into the opposite direction. And this is exactly what we were talking a minute ago. If Elisha was accepting this, maybe was not going to be revealed the true heart of Gehazi. That he has this problem with lust. So everything has a purpose. Maybe we are not going to know the purpose immediately. Maybe it will take time. But that should be our prayer. Why I'm going through this situation? Why is happening this? What's the reason behind? And we need to continue praying until we receive revelation of what's the real purpose of Yahweh for the experiences we are going through. And the 21, it says, and Gehazi pursued Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he came down from the chariot to meet him and said, is there peace? And he said, peace. My master has sent me, saying, and actually he was lying.
Yeah, and he was saying that he was under the name of somebody else.
Yes.
So,
look, even now 2 young men of the sons of the prophets have come to me from the mountains of Ephraim. So he was inventing all the story.
yeah.
Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments.
And can you see, even because he could say, okay, only one, because he won things, but he won the double. Even not only one, he was inventing 2 persons who was in need to receive double.
And Naaman said, please accept 2 talents. And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver into bags with 2 changes of garments and handed them to 2 of his servants, and they bore them ahead of him. And when he came to the high place, he took them from their hand and stored them away in the house, and let the men go, and they went. And he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, where did you go, Gehazi? And he said, your servant did not go anywhere. But he said to him, did not my heart go with you when the man turned back from his chariot to meet you? Is it time to accept silver and to accept garments, and olive trees, and vineyards, and sheep, and cattle, and male and female servants? So let the leprosy of Naaman cling to you and your descendants forever.
Wow.
And he went out from him as leprous as snow. I remember the story of Ananias with the Peter, Kepha. They all also wanted to hide something about the price of the property they sold of the land. And it was, the story is a kind of weird because, if you want to give anything, give nothing. Why to hide the price in order to give only a portion instead of giving everything?
Took some.
So here is a very similar thing, and I like I think it is a confirmation of what we were discussing. It's about the timing. In the way that Elisha is answering him, is it time to accept silver? He say, this is not the time, paraphrasing, this is not the time to accept silver. It's not the time to accept garments. It's not the time to accept any gift. It's not the time to accept material things. Because that was the timing for something different. And it's what is written in the book of Kohelet. Everything has a timing. There's time for everything. It's time to receive things. It's time to material things. It's time to receive spiritual things. It's time to give back some things.
I think that it's because at that time it was a very big draw in all the places, and everybody was in kind of need. So receiving this, it was even more, I don't know, it was really wrong, but it was in also a very bad time, as you said, because it was when somebody was giving you, and for them it was very hard to have all that. So
how you understand this? A few weeks ago, and it's a tricky question. A few weeks ago we were talking about this joke about the man in the roof, that there was a flooding and he was waiting that Yahuwah was going to save him, but help came and he died at the end because he didn't accept any of those help. So in this case, they were going through some situations, but a person with a true heart wanted to give something back and it was refused. How you can understand that this is something that maybe was Yahuwah the one touching the heart of Naaman in order to provide for the needs of the prophets, and he was refusing it.
But I think that as
it's a small, it's a thin line. So how to understand?
I think that it's because the Ruach was revealing something to Elisha that he didn't need to accept this at this moment, and because of something else, and that we know now maybe why. But also I think that it's saying it's time to accept silver, accept garment, olive trees, vineyard, sheep, and it was like you are going to accept this maybe, and then you are going to get used to receive all this. Like it's a chain that is not only a moment. So it's like opening a door for that you're always going to do something, just waiting to receive something back. So maybe.
I agree. I think at the end is the Ruach the one revealing, in the same way that was revealed to Elisha that when he's saying, did not my heart go with you?
Yeah.
Because the Ruach revealed to him what was going on. So that's why we need to develop that capacity to understand when the Ruach is speaking to us. And each one of us is going to have their own ways, how the Ruach is speaking to us and how we can understand the way that he's speaking to each of us individually. In order to understand how to act. It's the same thing that David was doing, asking Yahuwah, I'm going to the right, to the left, and going forward when he was going to the battle. It's the same thing.
And I think that Gehazi, he knew that it was right because he was hiding the thing. If he was thinking that it was a good thing, he was, I don't know, maybe go and approaching to Elisha. Elisha, I know that you refused this, but I was there, and I don't know. He insists, even though this was not the situation, but I have this. But he knew that what he was doing was wrong from the beginning to the end. So he was hiding the whole situation. And if you compare this with what Yahuwah was talking with Adam at the beginning in the garden, it's like, where did you go? What are you doing? It's like he never knew, and he thought that he was not being seen. So, but at the end, the other person was having all this knowledge about what happened. So it's like Yahuwah with us.
There's something that sometimes we skipped in the understanding of how the Ruach can work through us. And is the fact that we, through His power, we can have the ability to bless and to curse. And we see examples. I just provided the one with Peter.
Yeah.
Who was healing paralytic together with John.
But then
he was cursing Hananiah and Sapphira.
They both of them were dead.
They die. Also, we have the Yahushua himself with the fig tree. Was cursing the fig tree. He was healing all other people. And we have multiple other examples. So it is important that, when Yahuwah is allowing everything and He's working through us, that we have that capacity to do it. But everything needs to be conducted and guided and controlled by Him on what to do and what not to do. But He wants to use it in order to curse somebody. He will do it. And it's for His purpose. And why I'm saying this is because when we see the two situations, we see blessing to Naaman and cursing to Gehazi. There's one common thing that in the way that was delivered the blessing and the curse. And we were talking about this yesterday when we saw the video of the fire. Is through words. What Elisha was pronouncing, the blessing he was pronouncing for the healing of Naaman was words. Go and do this. When he was bringing the curse over the Gehazi, he was pronouncing with words. Let the leprosy of Naaman cling to you and your descendant forever. So words are so important. What we are saying, because it's producing something.
Yeah, we don't know about
it's coming from inside and it's going through the air to the ears of the other person, like frequencies and music, and going in to the heart. A blessing and a curse and something is happening, is coming, if it's coming with the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. So we need to be so careful in the words, in the same way that James, Yaakov is saying in his book, in the words that we are using, what we are saying, how we are saying it. That's why asking always the Ruach to guide us in everything we are going to pronounce and we are going to say. That are coming, asking and praying that those words are coming directly from Him, for His purposes. Okay? Let's move on to chapter 6. Now it's your turn.
Okay, and the sons...
To handle the mouse? Much easier, or you want me to do it for you?
Yeah, but just when I'm here, then you move.
Okay.
Not while I'm reading, because then it's confusing for me. And the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, see, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Please let us go to the garden, and let every man take a log from there.
Please go to Naaman and ask for everything you... I was thinking.
Yeah. And let us make there a place to dwell. And he answered, go. Then the one said, please undertake to go with your servants. And he answered, I shall go.
But you see, there is something interesting we talked about 3 weeks ago. Elisha now became a leader. All these, the sons of the prophets were under the leadership and the headship of Elisha. It's interesting how, the process of this person was first being a servant and now becoming a leader.
Yeah. And he went with them, and they came to the garden, and they cut down trees. And it came to be, as one was cutting down a tree, that the iron axe head fell into the water. And he cried out and said, oh, my master, for it was borrowed. And the man of Elohim said, where did it fall? And he showed him the place, and he cut off a stick and threw it in there and made the iron flow. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
How?
We don't know, because we were looking if there was kind of, I don't know, tree maybe with some magnetic power or something, and I couldn't find something like that. So it was a miracle directly.
So it's, you know, not all the time it's been speak about Elisha, at least at churches. When people remember about the prophets, they always think on Eliyahu
and
Moshe because of everything they do. But when we see how Elisha was used by Yahuwah,
doing a lot of
miracles, is unbelievable. You know, we really see that he got the double portion of the spirit of Eliyahu, exactly as he was asking for, because there is a lot of miracles that he began to perform from the very beginning.
Yeah.
From the same day that he asked for this double portion until now.
Yeah.
So there's no impossibilities for Yahuwah. He can do something out of thin air. He will do it if we believe. Go ahead.
And he said, pick it up. And he reached out his hand and took it. And the sovereign of Aram was fighting against Israel. Oh, this is another story. And the sovereign of Aram was fighting against Israel, and to consult with his servants, saying, my camp is in such and such a place. And the men of Elohim sent to the sovereign of Israel, saying, be on guard, do not pass this place, for the Arameans are coming down there.
So he was counseling the king of Israel, even though that they were totally deviated. It's a kind of act of compassion. Just to tell them, Yahuwah is here, why you aren't looking for other idols.
The sovereign of Israel then sent to the place of which the men of Elohim had spoken to him, and warned him, so that he was on his guard there not once and not twice. So I think that it was repetitive times. And this greatly troubled the heart of the sovereign of Aram. And he called his servant and said to them, declare to me, who of us is for the sovereign of Israel? Because he was thinking that maybe somebody was speaking, somebody was the spy. And one of his servants said, none, my master, O sovereign, for Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, declares to the sovereign of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So, so he has
he was getting, the knowledge and the revelation from the Ruach of Elohim.
And he said, go and see where he is, so that I send and get him. And it was reported to him, saying, see, he is in Dothan. I don't know where is Dothan, but I think when I was looking for that it really far away from the place that they were. So it was not.
But there is something that is so critical for the times that we are living, that it's so important that we develop this capacity, these skills, spiritual skills. And those are the gifts of the Ruach. Revelation, they were in a war, and we know that we are heading to the tribulation. That's going to be a war. Having the ability to being guided by the Ruach in such a way is so important when we are going through these type of situations, that we get the revelation from the Ruach of what to do. So our enemies are going to be exactly in the same situation like the sovereign of Aram. How come we are able to know something that is being spoke about in secret? I think it's so important now that we need to learn how to put in practice those spiritual skills.
Wow.
In order to be prepared for what's coming. If we really are heading to tribulation and we are going to be persecuted, if we are able to be guided and having these skills, spiritual skills, and guided by the Ruach of Elohim, we'll know what to do, where to go, what to say, who to contact, where to stay. Because he is going to be revealing that to us. So we need to pray that the only way to develop those skills is by praying, for sure, because he's the one that he's going to teach us. And second, what my dad told Angela the other day. I don't know if you were listening to that part of it. Is that we need to do it. It's like learning any skill. It's, if we are just
waiting until somebody tells us,
reading about it,
you need to
seeing about this, other people doing it, it's waiting about it without doing. We're not going to learn. And he put this example of building something. A person that never have done something, building something, and the only way that he realized that he was able and have the skills is by doing it, and he was improving even with time. So I think in the spiritual realm is exactly the same, because as we will see later, the spiritual and the physical realm are both together and in existence together at the same time. We're not able to see it, but we can interact with it. So if we're able to learn a physical skill in some way, we need to understand that we are also spiritual beings. So in the same way that we are learning a physical skill, we can learn the spiritual ones. And we need to be strong and courageous to do it, and not to retain or restrain ourselves.
Yeah, maybe sometimes we're worried about what the other people are going to think about a specific situation, and then that stops us to have that kind of courage and say, maybe some thought that we have has an intention, that they are put there out of the blue, not because we are crazy. Because sometimes I think like that.
We are quite crazy.
Yeah, but there is a reason. So is Yahuwah working in our minds and trying to show us that we can be and we can receive that kind of admonition, and from nothing, because he is putting that kind of instruction, like guidance.
In the same way that we are learning a physical skill, that we are not going to be a perfect, we are not going to be a master, and we are going to make a lot of mistakes, and we are going to be improving time to time, and we are going to look back and we will see what we were doing in the past that wasn't that good, but we were doing it, and we reached to this point because we walked that path. And by doing that, we will know that in the future we are going to be even better. In the spiritual is the same. It has to be the same. We cannot separate ourselves from between the physical and the spiritual. We are just one being with a spirit and a body, becoming a living being. So if we're able to learn in this way, in this other area we are going to learn the same. The disciples were used at the beginning through the power that Yahushua was given to them in order to heal the sick and so on. But even though they were unable to heal all the sick, that's why Yahushua needed to come and heal in some occasions. And in the specific one that came to my mind, he was saying, for this one you need fasting and prayers.
So they were not doing that.
And that's why when in the upper room, when he ascended to heaven, he said, you will receive power. And we see in the book of Acts that they were increasing and increasing day by day in the spiritual skills being used by the Ruach of Elohim, more and more. So they were not experts at the beginning, but they were increasing in knowledge and in the skills of the Ruach of Elohim. We need to do exactly the same. We need to be bold enough in order to begin. Even though that we are going to do a lot of mistakes and we are going to be embarrassed maybe when we mistakes, it doesn't matter. We need to do it. We need to be bold. In the same way that we need to be bold in order to speak to people about the truth and the kingdom, we need to be bold in order to use our hands in order to bring the manifestations of the Ruach of Elohim in these times. Let's continue.
And he sent horses and chariots and a great army there. And they came by night and surrounded the city. And the servant of the man of Elohim rose early and went out, and saw an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, O my master, what do we do? And he answered, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Beautiful. And Elisha prayed and said, Yahuwah, I pray, open his eyes and let him see. And Yahuwah opened the eyes of the young man, and he looked and saw the mountain covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed to Yahuwah and said, Strike this nation with blindness, I pray. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. Wow, that's really beautiful. And that's what we were talking the other day, that sometimes is Yahuwah who is going to open the eyes about things that we cannot see. And I was talking with you that it has always called my attention that sometimes when I see dogs, cats, and some animals, that they're reacting to some things that we cannot see, is maybe they're seeing the spiritual realm that we cannot see with these natural eyes. But maybe someday Yahuwah is going to open our eyes and we are going to see that he has sent messenger protecting us, and they're there with us. They're protecting, I don't know, the places that we have put his name. So it's beautiful.
You know, I just remember this passage.
Mm-hmm.
It says in Mark chapter 8, verse 22, and he came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. And taking the blind man by the hand, he led him out of the village. And having spit on his eyes, laying hands on him, he asked him, Do you see at all? You know, the methods were somehow unusual in the same way that the methods of Elisha. You know, if I'm a blind man and somebody's spitting on my face, what's going to be my reaction?
Yeah, you're going to be like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to see it, but I'm going to feel it and I'm going to hear it. So we need to be, again, humble and be ready. No expectation at all.
Yeah, and he didn't know who was in front of him. That was Yahushua. So, wow.
And he looked up and said, I see men like trees walking. Then he placed his hands on his eyes again and made him look up. And he was restored and saw all clearly. So, what is it about? We have two types of eyes. The physical and the spiritual. In the way that I see this passage here, that the first eyes that he was opening, by healing, was the spiritual eyes. That's why he was seeing men like trees. Because according to the scriptures, we are like trees. And the second one was opening his physical eyes. We see here in the opposite direction. You know, he was able to see the servant of Elisha that most probably wasn't Gehazi, it was another servant.
Yeah, I think that it was the second one. He was afraid.
He was afraid that he was able to see with the physical eyes the army of the enemy. But Elisha was able to see with the two eyes, with the physical and with the spiritual. And with the spiritual, he saw that there was the army of Yahuwah supporting him and surrounding the other army.
And he was saying, they are more the one that are with us than with them. So
what Elisha is saying here, when he was praying in the 17, and Elisha prayed and said, Yahuwah, I pray, open his eyes and let him see what eyes? The spiritual eyes. And Yahuwah opened the eyes of the young man, and he looked and saw the mountain covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So he was able to see on the spiritual realm. And this is exactly what you told me the other day. Both things are active, both realm are active and present simultaneously.
But we cannot see the other one.
We cannot see the other one unless we pray, Yahuwah, open our spiritual eyes so we can see. So, by having the understanding that we have spiritual eyes, and if we're not able to see, it's just a matter to pray about it. In the same way that Elisha was praying. So Abba can open our eyes. Abba can open our eyes to see in the spiritual.
And maybe it's going to be in a different way. Sometimes it happened to myself that I have like a certainty of something, and when I just wait and I don't do anything about that situation, then it's kind of a revelation that Yahuwah can show us what is behind that. That maybe the things that we are seeing, okay, I don't know. For instance, oh yeah, now I remember. Remember the other time when I thought that this kind of a platform was blocked? And I was thinking initially that you were blocking that platform.
What platform?
Oh, it was a platform. It was Netflix. Remember?
Ah.
And I was thinking, well, I cannot use it. Maybe JC was thinking that I was too attached to that platform. And that was my initial thinking. But then talking about something different. And then I just dropped that thought. Because I was continuing in that thought. I was thinking that you were doing something.
Angry with me.
Yeah, something like that. And then, I don't know, 2 days later or 1 day later, then I realized that it was something completely different. And it has nothing to do with my own thought. So sometimes things can be revealed also in that way. And especially if we ask Abba, hey, help me to understand this situation, that maybe at that point it was something difficult for me. But then he gave the peace, the shalom, with what was in the reality. Sometimes maybe we are not going to see the two realities that are happening, maybe with messengers, with armies, but we are going to understand the situation. And that is another kind of revelation, when we have that understanding, when we can comprehend that maybe our position, our point of view was not the only one. Maybe there is another point of view. And maybe we receive some kind of explanation that later come from Abba.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's more than what we see with our eyes.
Yeah.
And if the armies of Yahuwah were present here in this moment of time among men without being seen,
how much more?
In these times it's the same. So the point is that we are not able to see it. And I saw a comment from Yerash a minute ago. It could be that Yahweh is opening the eyes just temporarily and then closing it again. If that's the case, we should be grateful that we were able to see and pray and pray that we are going to see again, just to get the skills on how to see spiritually. But the point is that we need to focus now is that there are two realms active in this world. Here we have an evidence even more clear. And it's just up to us to seek the will of Yahuwah, asking him to open our eyes to see and to act. And in the same way that we see, the armies of Yahuwah active, we know that there's the armies of darkness also there. And if we're able to see spiritually, we are going to be able to see both. And in order to be ready to act according to the will of Yahuwah, becoming a servant, acting with the power of the Ruach of Elohim. So in the 18, I don't know if you read the 18
but I'm
already.
going to read it again because this is kind of a different story. And when they came...
It's how it's the same thing that we were talking in the previous one, blessing and cursing.
Yeah, now it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed to Yahuwah and said, strike this nation with blindness, I pray. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said to them, this is not the way, nor is this the city. Follow me, because all of them were blind. So he was giving the instruction. And let me bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Shomeron.
So the blindness in this case was not spiritual. It was physical. So they were unable to see. Is exactly the same thing that happened to Shaul.
Yeah, and with Lot, remember? That when all the the other ones that
yes, with the people that wanted to attack the two messengers.
Yeah.
So protection again through a servant of Yahuwah pronouncing the words. Again, we need to get to this point that Yahuwah is using us in this way in preparation to what's coming. How many more people will believe about the kingdom of Yahuwah if they see these kind of things happening? And I truly believe this real.
Yeah, it's not an invention.
It's not an invention, it's something that's happening. It's the power of Yahuwah. But it's up to us to get to the point of Elisha that he began as a servant and he became a leader because he was bold enough in order to seek the kingdom of Yahuwah first and the righteousness of the kingdom of Yahuwah and also the power of Elohim.
And it came to be when they had come to Shomeron that Elisha said, Yahuwah, open the eyes of these men so that they see. And Yahuwah opened their eyes, and they looked and saw that they were in the midst of Shomeron. So it was a surprise. And when the sovereign of Israel saw them, he said to Elisha, my master, should I strike? Should I strike? My father. Should I strike? Should I strike? But he said, do not strike. Do you strike those whom you have taken captive with your sword and your bow? Set food and water before them, and let them eat and drink, and go to their master. Wow.
So no attack.
No attack. So now they're captive.
Compassion.
But for a very good reason.
What was the reason?
What is going to happen later.
Okay.
But imagine that you have an enemy, and that enemy is coming to attack you. But they were looking for Elisha. And then he are there with a very high prominent person. And that person has the right to kill you, to take your life. But he's not doing that. He is even providing for your needs. What is going to be your attitude toward that person?
Yeah, he's going to be a change of heart.
Yeah, you're going to be even thankful for that kind of welcome.
What happened to the president?
Yeah. So
everybody changed their heart after
everybody changed their
after
heart.
he is dead, actually.
But, but it could be because he was welcome somebody, he was taking maybe care of the needs. So when the people leave that place, because it's not the place where they belong, they are going to leave that place, but with kind of gratitude.
Yep.
And then we can see what is going to happen.
Okay, let's continue. 23.
And 23. And he made a great feast for them, and after they ate and drank, he let them go. And they went to their master, and the bands of Aramean raiders came no more into the land of Israel. So it was peace. They didn't go back. So maybe I was thinking, maybe this is going to be a kind of parallel with the supper that is being promised, that is going to be at the end of times. Maybe that's the plan, that there is going to be one moment of peace. At one moment in the earth, you were enemies. But if you are taking even the caring for your enemies, at one moment they are not going to bother you anymore. So maybe it's something that is going to happen.
It could be. It could be.
And after this it came to be that Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, mustered all his army and went up and besieged Shomeron. So it was after a time. And there was a great scarcity of food in Shomeron. And see, they besieged it until a donkey's head went at 80 pieces of silver, and 1/4 of a cup of dove droppings for 5 pieces of silver. So everything was
they have an impact on their economy.
Yeah, and their economy. Yeah. It was very big.
It sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, maybe we are seeing that. And it came to be, as the sovereign of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried out to him, saying, "Help my master, O sovereign." And he said, "If Yahuwah does not help you, where do I find help for you? From the threshing floor or from the winepress?" And the sovereign said to her, "What is troubling you?" And she answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give your son, and let us eat him today, and tomorrow we eat my son.' So we cooked my son, and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, give your son, and let us eat him. But she has hidden her son. And it came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the woman, that he tore his garments. And as he passed by on the wall, the people looked and saw the sackcloth on his body underneath. And he said, Elohim, do so to me, and more also, if the head of Elisha, son of Shaphat, remains on him today. And Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. And the sovereign sent a man ahead of him. But before the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, Do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone to take away my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door. Hold him fast at the door. It is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? While he was speaking with them, then see, the messenger came down to him, and he said, Look, this evil is from Yahuwah. Why should I wait for Yahuwah any longer? Well, there are two stories here.
Yes.
Maybe we need to put a pause.
There are two stories, but somehow connected.
And this is continuing the next chapter.
Why the sovereign of Israel blame Elisha?
I think
because in the same way that Eliyahu was used by Yahuwah in order to bring a draw, a severe draw. Yeah. I think Yahuwah is not written here, but I think Yahuwah was using Elisha in order to bring this
again.
This again, yes.
Yeah.
The scarcity of food.
Yeah, when there is a scarcity, then all the prices are really high.
Correct.
So that you cannot even buy things.
And the sovereign knew that was Elisha the one behind this, and that's why when he heard the story about the two women that were eating the son.
Yeah. So at what point you have to arrive that kind of atrocities are happening.
But the point is that his attitude was totally different. And again, it's a matter of decision. When we're facing some situation, we're in front, we're facing two options. It's always two options. Is life or death. Is the narrow path or the wide and broad way. He decided to go into the way of destruction instead of repenting himself, understanding what was the message from Elisha, that he needed to do teshuvah and come back to the true Elohim. After all this that has been happening in Israel, in the house of Israel, he was not able to listen and obey. He decided to continue being stubborn and stiff-necked. How often it happened to the same to us? That we decide to go in the wrong direction instead of humble ourselves and going in that way.
Yeah, and also I imagine the situation about these two women, how a mother could, I don't know, accept that kind of pact. Like, okay, we're going to eat your son and my son. Then of course the other one maybe was just tricking her. But even though she could do that, I don't know.
It is written, in the courses of Torah that was going to happen. So I do believe that there is a more understanding, spiritual understanding to that story that I don't see it yet.
Maybe it's not only physically.
I think it's yes. It's more spiritual, and I think it is there is something most probably related to Israel, the women, the sons, and so on. But what caught my attention was happening because this is also somehow connected to the end times. Is to remove the head. What is written in the book of Revelation about what's going to happen to the martyrs? They're going to be beheaded. It is written in the chapter 20, 21 that those were beheaded because of the words of Elohim. They were as part of the first resurrection. So what was the answer of Elisha in this case? Elisha was sitting in his house and the elders were sitting with him, and the sovereign sent a man ahead of him. So messengers, other people that are being acting in the name of the one that want to cause this tribulation or persecution. But before the messenger came to him, he said to the elders. Who said to the elders? Elisha. And this is connecting so perfectly and so beautifully to what we were speaking before about develop the skills, the spiritual skills, in order to be used by the Ruach of Elohim. Because even before the messenger came, he said, do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone who is the son of the murderer is the king.
The king, that was
will send someone to take away my head. So he knew about the persecution even before the persecution came to him. Why? Because he got the revelation of the Ruach of Elohim. Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold him fast at the door. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? So what's the action? Shut the door. What was the action, with the persecution of Lot? They provoked blindness and they shut the door.
It's like stop the evil out.
Yes, revelation, cursing,
only the
stopping,
the message.
Exactly, and shutting the door. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 26, in the verse 20 says, when he's talking about the Rephaim, the departed spirit, and this is end time word, it says, go my people, enter your rooms and shut your doors behind you.
Hide yourself.
Hide yourself, as it were, for a little while, until the displeasure is past. For look, Yahweh is coming out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their crookedness, and the earth shall disclose her blood, and no longer cover her killed ones. So the action of shutting the door is something so important, is prophetically speaking, is that it's like, Pesach, during the death of the firstborn.
They were in the house.
They needed to be in the house with the door closed, not going out until the displeasure and death went away. So this is something super important, but the most important thing here, from my point of view, is the fact that Elisha knew before, that Elisha was warned by the Ruach, that Elisha got the knowledge of what was going to happen and what they wanted to do. Without that knowledge and without the Ruach of Elohim, we are going to be totally blind without knowing what to do. And I think this is the time for us to know, to develop that skill, to be used by the Ruach of Elohim. Because at that moment of tribulation, it could be too late.
And you need to go to the other one, so then we can finish, because the story finished.
Okay, let's go to the chapter 7. It says, and Elisha said, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah, about this time tomorrow, in the chapter 7, verse 1, a seah of fine flour for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel at the gate of Shomeron.
So the prices were going down.
The
situation was going to be reversed somehow.
And an officer on whose hand the sovereign leaned answered the man of Elohim and said, look, if Yahweh is making windows in the heavens, shall this word come true? And he said, look, you are about to see it with your eyes, but not eat of it.
Wow.
Another curse.
Yeah.
And there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to each other, why are we sitting here until we are dead? We shall say, let us go into the city. The scarcity of food is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we shall die. And now, come, let us surrender to the army of the Arameans. If they keep us alive, we'll live. And if they kill us, we shall die. It sounds logic.
Yeah, because they
logical thinking. They were going to die anyways.
Yeah, so if somebody could give me just a kind of piece of bread while if I'm going to be a captive.
So at twilight they rose up to go to the camp of the Arameans. And when they had come to the outskirts of the Aramean camp, look, no one was there. For Yahuwah had caused the army of the Arameans to hear the noise of chariots, and the noise of horses, and the noise of a great army. And they said to each other, look, the sovereign of Israel has hired against us the sovereign of the Hittites, and the sovereigns of the Mitzrians, to come against us. So they were surrounded by this army. That's why the scarcity of food in the previous chapter. You remember that everything started that they were against Shomeron,
so
Hadad.
they were having this besiege.
Yeah, they were under besiege, exactly. So they rose up and fled at twilight and left the camp as it is their tents and their horses and their donkeys, and they fled for their lives.
Just running away because they were hearing. So now another sense that is being used in a kind of deceptive way just to provoke something.
Yes. And when these lepers came to the outskirts of the camp, they went into one tent and ate and drank, and took from their silver and gold and garments, and went and hid them. And they came back and went into another tent and took from there and went and hid it. Then they said to each other, "We are not doing right. This day is a day of good news, and we are keeping silent. And if we wait until morning light, then evil shall come upon us. And now, come, let us go and inform the house of the sovereign." Wow. What do you think on this one?
I don't know if they were thinking that sharing this, like, okay, sharing with the rest was going to diminish maybe the bad action that they were doing. Because according to my perspective, they were hiding the things that they were finding. So it was like taking something that doesn't belong to you. But I don't know, maybe it has a purpose in this case that they could spread the news to the sovereign. So
it's the timing. The timing, and if we wait until morning light, then evil shall come upon us. So they knew that they needed to share this news, and they knew that they cannot delay to share it. Something is totally applicable to us. When we are speaking to a person, we will know in our hearts when we need to share, and we cannot delay it. Because if we delay it and we don't share it, it could happen this. Evil shall come upon us. There's always a timing for things. And we need to be so attentive to the Ruach pushing us in our heart when we need to speak about something. If we don't speak, we are going to miss a blessing, and it could be even worse that we can have evil coming to us because we are not obedient. And the other thing is that, let's continue. We'll keep that one for later. In the verse 10, and they came and called to the gatekeepers of the city and informed them, saying, "We went to the camp of Aram, and look, there is not a man or a voice of man, only horses tied and donkeys tied, and the tents as they were." And the gatekeepers called, and they informed the house of the sovereign inside. So the sovereign rose up in the night and said to his servants, Let me now inform you that what the Arameans have done to us. They know that we are starving, so they have gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and enter into the city. So they were so persecuted, and
that he was thinking about
a trap. And one of his servants answered and said, "Please, let some take 5 of the horses that are left in the city. Look, they are like the entire crowd of Israel that are left in it. Look, they are like the entire crowd of Israel left from those who are consumed. So let us send and see." They then took 2 chariots with horses, and the sovereign sent them in the direction of the camp of Aram, saying, "Go and see." And they went after them to the Jordan. And look, all the way was littered with garments and weapons which the Arameans had thrown away in their haste. And the messengers returned and reported to the sovereign. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of Aram. So a seah of fine flour was for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of Yahuwah. And the sovereign had appointed the officer on whose hand he leaned to be in charge of the gate. But the people trampled him in the gate, and he died, as the man of Elohim had said, who spoke when the sovereign came down to him. And it came to be, as the man of Elohim had spoken to the sovereign, saying, 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, and a seah of fine flour for a shekel, at this time tomorrow in the gate of Shomeron. That officer answered the man of Elohim and said, "Now look, if Yahuwah is making windows in the heaven, is it according to his word, And he had said, look, you are about to see it with your eyes, but not eat of it. So it came to be for him, for the people trampled him in the gate, and he died.
Wow.
You know what I wanted to say before? It's so beautiful to see that Yahuwah used two people that was the worst of the worst in society in in that moment, because they had leprosy. They were totally out of the city. He used them to bring good news. And the good news of the deliverance of Yahuwah. You know, it comes to mind all the time that Yahushua was speaking, that he used the poor of the land, he used the less of the people in order to bring what, they learned in Torah, they learned in the commandments, were unable to see, the religious people were unable to see. And here we see a beautiful example that he used those people that they didn't have nothing to eat. Actually, they knew that they were going to die. Death was at the door for them, even more than the other people, because they were sick.
Yeah.
And he used them in order to bring the good news of the deliverance. And what's the point that Yahuwah can use anybody? And that's why we need to be so humble that he can use anybody to bring some good news to our lives. And he can use methods that is going to be very weird for us, and that's why, connected to the first passage, we should have no expectation. The only expectation we should have is that believing in Elohim, that he is able to do anything. How he's going to do it, it doesn't matter. Who is going to use him, it doesn't matter. That he's going to do it anyways. What you said also is so important, again, through the words of the prophet that were not connected at all with what happened, he just pronounced something, that the prices were going to go down. That was the only thing that he said. But what happened at the end, in order for that to happen, Yahuwah did something with the army of the enemy and put fear in their hearts by using their own senses. They hear something, and they believe in their hearts that something was happening that was not real. They believe something that was unreal in their hearts.
And it's like the king.
And that
with the king,
fear.
With the king happened the same, because he was believing something that it was not the reality.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes that is happening because maybe he is the strategy that maybe he would have used, being the people who was maybe hiding, waiting, putting some things there, so the other people are going to arrive and he was going to ambush. Yes. Maybe he was that kind of people, so he was having that kind of thoughts. So sometimes maybe in life it's like that. Sometimes maybe we made a judgment because it's how we are going to react in face of something.
There are so many lessons in this stories.
Yeah.
Because, even in this story, in the chapter 7, we see the attitude of the commander, that he didn't believe. And because he didn't believe, and actually he was mocking somehow, it's the same thing that happened with Peter and Hananiah. Is the same thing that happened before with the Gehazi. A curse was pronounced, and he was able to see but not to enjoy. What happened with the first generation of Israel? They were able to see the miracles, but because of their heart, they died in the wilderness. So I think that's a lesson for all of us in the way that we need to believe, is that we should deny ourselves in the same way that Yahushua is teaching us. It's just believing. Believing that he's able to do whatever. In one hand. But in the other hand is that we are in need. This generation is in need for this type of servants. Like Elisha, like the young lady. it's in need of this, and actually like the two lepers, is in need of this type of people with a heart that is able to obey and not to think selfish, is to think for the others, bringing good news.
It was two the ones who were
I think it was two.
Because I remember that it was the four who was there, but maybe only two were taking the message.
Four.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
Okay,
four.
okay.
But the four leprous men is to act not in a selfish way. You know, they began with a selfish way. You know, we have nothing to lose. We are going to die anyway. Let's go into the city.
And they were satisfying
themselves until they realized, like the prodigal son, okay, we need to do something different, like waking up. And they were used in order to bring the good news of salvation. The other ones that, you know, all of them were hiding themselves in the city, dying because of a scarcity of food, just waiting for the time of death. But this one, they were somehow being pushed and moved by the Ruach in order to do something first that they thought it was only for them, but there was a bigger purpose that the Yahuwah was orchestrating. So this generation, our generation today, is in so much need for this type of heart and this type of servant. People that are able to realize that we have a higher purpose than serving ourselves, is to serve others. Higher purpose that becoming witness of the true Elohim, even though that we are in circumstances that is not good for us. Maybe we are in slavery, maybe in spiritual slavery, maybe we are going through difficulties and persecution, but we need to be witness anyways. And more importantly, to become the type of servants like Elisha that is being used by the power of the Ruach of Elohim in order to bring the good, the sign and wonders that is going to transform the heart of the people by the Ruach acting on themselves. I think this the type of things that we need to seek so urgently in these times, because it's going to serve others, but it's going to serve us as well and help us as well. Because if we act in this way, the Ruach is going to guide us even on those times of troubles, telling us what to do, when to shut the door, where to go, how to be protected. I want to be guided in that way. And sometimes we are guided, but we don't realize. So we need to ask in order to be conscious every time that He's guiding us with the power of the Ruach of Elohim, because we're able to see, is what I said before, we are going to be able to develop that skill little by little in order to become to a perfect point. That perfect point is when Yahushua is going to be here. But He promised that we will receive power when the Ruach is coming upon us. So that power is available not for our own selfish use. It's available in order to serve Him more powerfully, in order to bring the good news and to become a true witness. That's from my side. Anything else you want to share? No?
That being a true witness is going to help maybe it's going to help somebody else, but only if one is hearing, I think that is even a good thing for us.
Absolutely. And you see what happened here is that we began with this passage of Yahuwah healing the commander of the army of the Aramean. And then we see the Aramean attacking Israel anyway. So it's a circle. And I think that happened because of one reason. The king and the people collectively didn't repent, the people of Israel. So it was a vicious circle. If they were going to repent, maybe it was going to happen something totally different. And not only for Israel, also for the Arameans, because they now, an important person knew Yahuwah. And maybe he was going to be used in a different way in order to bring salvation, or even to the Arameans. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how, with the same people, we see blessings and curses, not only in Israel, also in the Arameans.
Yeah, and I think that the intentions of Abba is saving most of what he can. So we need to be just vessels, so, and be instruments, so we can put our support and provide all our energy and help to his desire.
Absolutely. So let's keep it till here. Was a beautiful portion. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the chance to read it before, and I think no, I found it really beautiful. There are so many nuggets that is helping us to grow in more understanding and attitude.
Yeah.
I think we should not grow only in understanding. Also, we need to pray and change our attitude, our mindset,
internalize all this in our lives. Yeah.
and change our inner dialogue.
Yeah.
Because that's the battle. If we change our inner dialogue and we decide to go in the true path, then it's just to use it for his purposes and use our words for his miracles. Good. I really hope that it has been a blessing to all of you in the same way that it has been blessing us. I had the chance to take a look sometimes in the chat. I saw a lot of interaction. That's good, because that's the way that we are able to grow together. And again, if you have some comments about this portion, go ahead and put your comments in the chat. We are not blocking anybody. Be respectful. That's the only thing we ask. I know that you do. Be respectful on your comments and put it in the video later on. I think that's the way that we are able to grow together, having different
point of views. Maybe maybe that also has a purpose. That not everybody is going to be on the same position in everything until Mashiach comes, and he's going to reveal all the things. And maybe we're going to be receiving a very big surprise.
In the same way that we just saw it in this portion, we need to be witness. We need to speak up. But always we need to be so respectful. We need to understand that we are not the owner of the truth. That we are also growing. We are learning that we can be wrong. So that's why we need to share what we have in the hearts, but in a respectful way, with the purpose that we can grow and everybody can grow. Okay, so the invitation is open. If you want to share something, go ahead, put the comments in the chat, in the same way that we are doing it here in the live chat. And we hope to see you next week. Abba willing, continuing with the portion and the study of this book of Second King. And we need to start thinking what's going to be next. What's going to be the next book?
The next one.
The next one? What's the next one?
Elohim. Wow, Yeshua.
I remember somebody that wanted
because I want
to do YaHuWaH. That was Christine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to start working on that.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful Shabbat. Have a blessed week, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Shabbat Shalom. Yahuwah be with you all. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Come let us go up. Come let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Who can ascend his holy hill? Who can approach his holy place? Only the one with clean hands and a pure heart. Who can ascend his holy hill? Who can approach his holy place? Only the one with clean hands and a pure heart. Come let us go. Come let us go up. Come let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Come let us go up. Come let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Hey, la, 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 la. Zion, from Jerusalem His word. All creation will know your name, forever your praises proclaim. Oh, and the law will go out from Zion, from Jerusalem His word. All creation will know your name, forever your praises proclaim. Come, let us go up. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Come, let us go up. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Hey, come, let us go up. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Come, let us go up. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. Who can ascend His holy hill? Who can approach His holy